Welcome to my channel, Books and Knowledge. This channel is all about studies and knowledge. Today, we are going to start a new series on psychology. Psychology is a major subject which is asked in many competitive exams. If you have chosen psychology in your bachelor's or master's, these videos will surely help you. So, let us begin with the first chapter. What is psychology? Psychology is the science of behavior and mind. Psychology is the science of behavior and mind. What do you mean by that? See, the mind governs and we behave according to the mind. So, psychology deals in the studies where mind is applied and behavior is detected. So, this science reveals all the facts about the thoughts which come in the mind and the behavior of the human beings. That means psychology is the science of human experience. Whatever we experience through our thoughts, through our behavior, that is psychology. This word has come from Greek word psyche, which means the inner soul. Psyche, the inner mind of a man. This particular word has come from the Greek mythology. That means it was the name of the god of some Greek goddess, Psyche, the goddess of the soul. It is considered that a body consists of soul which never dies. It is always in action. It always provokes, or say, it always keeps the mind working. So there are mental processes, behaviors, the relationship between the mental process and behavior. As I already told you, whatever comes in your mind, you behave accordingly. So psychology deals with the relationship of the both. Mental processes in psychology refer to learning, motivation, reasoning, and emotion, amongst others. Mental processes means whatever is there in your mind, when your mind is needed, where it is needed, when you learn something, when you are motivated by the mind. See, if you are feeling depressed, so you need some uplifting words so that your mind can be changed. Similarly, reasoning, you use your mind to reason whether this is right or wrong. And of course, when you are emotional, your mind works for you. Even if you're happy or sad, your mind is there. So psychology studies all these notions, the relationship between your mind and your behavior. In other words, the study of psychology involves learning how humans think, feel, learn, interact, perceive, and understand, whether alone or when interacting with other people or the environment. It further says that psychology involves learning of how human thinks. It's a complete study. It says that it gives you the complete anatomy of how humans think, what makes them think, what makes them feel, learn, interact, or understand, perceive their own notions, their own understanding, whether alone or when interacting. Either they will do these things thinking, meditation, or coming to an idea or logical reasoning alone, or while discussing with other people. So, now let us see it once again. Psychology is a natural science concerned with innate factors and primal drives that align with the laws of nature. Now, there are two concepts. It is a natural science or it is a social science concerned with the study of behaviors, feelings, thoughts, and the environmental factors that contribute to them. Now, the psychologist or the scientist, they have been arguing that it is a natural science. That means there are things inside the mind which are already present with the birth of a man, which make them act accordingly. These innate features, which are already present in the mind, they help a man to work according to the laws of nature. So, this is one concept. The second one is a social science. It is a science which is dependent on the social structure, and the social structure, it guides your behavior, your feelings, your thoughts, and all the things around you, all the environmental factors, they help you to act accordingly. It's not just what is present inside your mind from your birth, but some external environmental factors. Now, the difference between the two, I would tell you, if you are, say, peaceful, you are doing your work with peace, there is no strand of anger inside you. But if someone comes and rebukes you or say bad things about anything which you do not like, and you are provoked and you start shouting and you become very, very angry on that person, that means your psyche is excited or worked through the environmental factor, that is an external factor, a factor which comes from the social structure. So you got my point? It is a natural science and it is a social science as well. So it is concerned with thoughts, your emotions, your memories, your perceptions, bringing a unique level of nuance and complexity to psychological study, research, and practice. Now, there are so many things in this world. There's not just mind and behavior and social structure. When they are all combined, the permutation and combination of all these structures, or say these things, they make a man react. They make a man's mind and behavior different, various positions, which are really very complex. So, the psychological study is also very complex. It's not so easy. There is a lot of research work and there is a lot of practical work involved in it. Now, let us talk about the origin of psychology. So, it is said that it originated from philosophy. That means it was considered as a branch of philosophy, and later on it became an independent discipline. That means it was a part of philosophy. Philosophy came first and then came psychology. And later on, when it became a lot of research was done on it, then it became a major subject and it became independent. Let's see how it was considered in the previous years. So, psychology as the study of soul. So, there were many philosophers. When it was considered as a branch of philosophy, many philosophers like Democritus, like Plato, like Aristotle, they all considered it as the study of soul. That means the era before Christ. Plato, Aristotle, Democritus, they were all there in BC, and they considered this as the branch of philosophy which is used to study the soul. Now, soul is metaphysical. Soul is not something which you cannot see, you cannot observe, you cannot touch. So, you cannot do any scientific experiments on soul. So, philosophers of that time, they were not able to understand or touch or do experiments on soul. So, they started working on it through psychology. Therefore, psychology evolved from philosophy because they were all great philosophers. Then came psychology as the study of mind. Here we have one German philosopher, Immanuel Kant, who defined psychology as the science of mind. Immanuel Kant, you have to remember this. His time period is 1724 to 1804. 1724 to 1804. So he was a German philosopher, and for the first time he said that psychology is the study of mind. Now, what did he mean by this? So, he said this because the word mind is also very ambiguous. You cannot understand what is mind. Mind is brain, mind is thought. What is mind here? So, he wanted to solve this puzzle, this confusion of the mind through the study of psychology. Like psychology will help to study the complexity of the mind, the ambiguity which is there in the mind. So, therefore, this emerged as the study of mind. Then there were other people who came up with the new concept that it is the science of consciousness. Psychology is the science of consciousness, and two very renowned psychologists or the intellectual people, Wilhelm Wundt and William James. They proposed this theory that it is the science of consciousness. And William James, he explained this in his book called Principles of Psychology, which was published in 1890. You have to remember all these dates also. So he said that it is a subject which includes the different stages of consciousness. He also came up with the concept of stream of consciousness, whatever we think, whether it is in chronology or not. Now, this became very famous at that time, and all the internal experiences now started gaining space in psychology. Not this outside environmental things, but the inside. So, science of the inner world phrase was coined by James Sully in 1884. Then came another scientist, Sigmund Freud, who's still famous for all his theories. His famous book, The Interpretation of Dreams and all, was a major book of the 20th century, the major concept of consciousness. So he defined consciousness in three levels: conscious, subconscious, unconscious. This we will be doing in detail afterwards. And then came psychology as the science of behavior. This is also very much important because now in the 20th century, we will be reading psychology as a science of behavior. And the major, the intellectual people who worked on it, they may be psychologists or philosophers or scientists. They were J.B. Watson, 1878 to 1958, William McDougall, W.B. Pillsbury. They all thought that psychology is the science of behavior. What do you mean by that? This means that it is a science which defines the behavior of a man. Now, what do you mean by behavior? Behavior means the working system of a man from inside as well as outside. Previously, it was just outside how he behaved, but then here all the things are combined together to make it a science of behavior. So this brings to the end of our first video, which dealt with the introduction of psychology. We would be continuing and coming with various videos on the same subject. So be in touch with us and share the video, subscribe the channel if you want to study about psychology or on various subjects for your competitive exams. In the next video, we are going to bring the different definitions of psychology and also about educational psychology, which is a major portion in most of your competitive exams. Thank you.